I'm Renee Brown.
My name's Afi Sheikh.
Declan Moses.
I'm Ian Smith.
My name is Risa.
My name is Jessica Berman.
John Duncan, I'm Vice President of Enforcement at the NCAA.
Justin Tillman, Head of Sports Marketing at Pepsi.
I'm Senior Manager of Member Associations Governance Services at FIFA.
Former England international rugby player and SIGA champion.
I'm here to tell you how excited I am about SIGA Week.
My name is Miguel Oliveira and I'm currently a MotoGP rider riding in a MotoGP World Championship. SIGA Sports Integrity Week is currently taking place in all digital platforms around the globe. As a MotoGP rider, it is very important to pass a message of integrity in my sport.
I would like, first of all, to praise SIGA's leadership.
Organisations such as SIGA, who are there to make standards better and to uniform all the standards throughout the industry, are needed.
SIGA stands for the mission around transparency. Good governance is so important to MasterCard.
World Rugby stands with SIGA in relation to integrity matters. Sport integrity is hugely important to us and our sport.
I stand with SIGA for their values of integrity and diversity and inclusion.
I stand with SIGA because I'm unapologetic about gender and racial equity in sport.
I'm proud to stand with SIGA and join leaders in sport to promote the movement and goals and initiatives around the integrity of sport.
We are a member of SIGA, and not only because we believe in integrity in sports, but to the fact that we believe in coalitions and collective efforts to achieve change.
Integrity is a catalyst to drive long overdue and meaningful reforms in the world of sport.
We all know that sport is one of the most powerful things on the planet for bringing about societal change.
The discussion about sports integrity and mental health is one that needs to be at the forefront of conversation.
Really recognizing and respecting the human condition, regardless of where we are on the continuum. That is the key to integrity. That is the key to inclusion. That is the key to diversity. That is the key to good governance. That is the key to goals. That is the key to having the world be more reflective and inclusive of those who we wish to serve and entertain through our sport.
Illegal betting, which is, as a matter of fact, very closely linked with match fixing, match manipulation, is a threat that not only undermines the integrity and credibility of sports, including soccer, but also, and importantly, provides organized crime networks with the opportunity to infiltrate sport and soccer and attempt to corrupt players, referees, and officials in order to manipulate matches with the aim of gaining massive illegal profits.
SIGA has established a set of universal standards for sport in a truly independent and transparent way to evaluate that. If you're not familiar with it, it's called SERVS.
It is important that we are accountable, and accountability means transparency. And this is also what the SIGA independent rating system serves, exists for.
For SIGA to really have an impact as a global organization, this verification system is obviously a huge benefit.
They just need to get involved, right? They need to understand that there's not just a benefit for sport, but specifically for their business. How could they not want to go back to their company and say, here's where we're spending our money, and here's here's math that I can put toward it that says why this is a good place to do it. It matches our shared values, and it's independent. So it just seems to me kind of a no-brainer that this is just one of those great things to have to be able to present to any board of directors or any management.
So yes, 100% I think we should take it on, and we are already doing this.
This is the core business of SIGA. Never we will accept rules of sport polluted by illegality, polluted by dirty money, polluted by crimes and criminals and organized crime.
This is a task none of us can achieve on our own. It is one that all of us must achieve together. Together, united, we can effect positive change by developing and promoting integrity principles and values.
Integrity, it is a value that it's based way beyond just passing a good image. It is a value that we take on a sportive attitude in our sport, but also in our personal lives. So what we learn in sports can be applied in every area of our life and to everyone. So as sports ambassadors, we have a very important role to get this message across everyone around the globe.
I am privileged and glad to participate in SIGA Sport Integrity Week.
I am proud to partner with the Sport Integrity Global Alliance and participate in this year's Sports Integrity Week.
Muito obrigado. Boa tarde, minhas senhoras e meus senhores. Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the start of SIGA Sport Integrity Week 2022. I have to say that I'm very excited to be participating in this event on the opening day. After 2 years of virtual conferences, of virtual panels and sessions, it's so nice to actually stand here and see people physically and see a lot of the support which this organization has received over the last years. Now, first of all, I would like to thank a few people. I would like to start by thanking the Câmara Municipal de Cascais for its support, for being here at this amazing venue, which is the Nova School of Business and Economics. One of the best schools in the world, really, and it's really fitting that we are in an educational institution because I think we're all going to aim to learn a lot about what a lot of the key stakeholders are doing right now and have been doing over the last years to promote integrity, to promote governance, and to promote transparency, credibility in the world of sport. And before I get into the program, I just wanted to congratulate SIGA, its global CEO, Emanuel Macedo Medeiros, as well, for organizing this event, but really for all the work that he has been doing and the organization has been doing over the last years. I remember being with you at the headquarters of UEFA when you met with President Alexander Ceferin and how you matched right away in a lot of the reforms that needed to be done, and he endorsed and were also worked on as an organization among European football's governing body. But it's so important to work in a collaboration among not only sport, but governments, academia, and it's only this way that really we are able to make a difference. I would like to talk a little bit about the motto of this week, which is supercharging positive change in and through sport. And this word supercharging, I think, is very important because we talk about how everything in our lives is so fast, right? We are constantly receiving information. We're constantly trying to do things fast. And this obviously is a project which takes a lot of work. There's a lot of depth to it, but I think events like this really serve to kickstart many times the process which is already happening and to speed it up as well. Now, I would like to say that over the last few years there's been a lot of work done, but there's so much more to be accomplished, and this event is a very important part of that. Over the next few days, we're going to have an opportunity to see experts in their respective fields share their insight, their expertise on this stage, but also by joining through online connections from around the world. And we'll have our first one in a few minutes. I would like to say that everyone watching in this stream that is being sent around the world can interact with us by using the hashtag #StandWithSIGA, and everyone can also follow the accounts on social media for SIGA, which is @SIGA Alliance. Now, I think that's enough from me for now. I would like to introduce our first star speaker, our first guest, to kick off with the welcome. And for that, we're going to go live to Rome to hear from the SIGA chairman, Franco Frattini.
Very much. I'm very grateful. This invitation also very passionate by all the speaks of passion and real motivation that I've been listening to. I confess I violated principle because I've been listening. Some words of enthusiasm, of reconfirmation of the real and sincere commitment to work for sport, not for the good results only, but for the honesty, for the reality of practicing an activity which is at the same time a great barrier against illegality, against crime, particular for the young people, for the children that learn legality, learn honesty, not learn to overcome their friends just to arrive first. This is one of the moral principles that is a key for our respective life. But being honesty, one of the key principles for those practicing concretely still now sport, not just because are passionate, like in my case, but also because they want to continue their tradition, a tradition in the family, or this or that important sport, or difficult sport, or dangerous sport. These are the reasons: honesty, loyalty, transparency. And exactly for this, I have to confess, in this period of time, I was just taken by COVID. This is why I speak from Rome. And unfortunately, after a visit in the other part of the world, while coming back to Rome, I was taken by COVID, unfortunately. Tonight, this evening, I'm in good condition to speak about that. I want to say, really, honesty is a word having different meanings, because on one hand, with total honesty, in this period of time, and sorry for remember to me every minute that I'm still taken by COVID, honesty means, on one hand, be full of joy when your country gets some unprecedented success that are the result of training, the result of course, serious preparation, and first of all, result of honesty and playing the game transparently. But honesty is also a way to demonstrate to all of you and to all those who believe that if you are loyal while playing your favorite sport, my sports are ski and golf, for example, I cannot deny to be greatly, greatly happy about the results of my country, the victory on volley a few days ago, the volley team. That is last time happened years and years and years and decades of years ago. And golf, of course, when you look at the Italians who, young golfers, well trained, well prepared, that in the national team win the international and the European prize, and one of our young friends, he has been playing at my golf club till the eve of that competition. He is now won the World Cup, and individually, he is now the non-professional world champion. He is now decided to move towards the professional status of golfers. But I'm very happy because these two entities, the group of volley, and a few days ago, a group of the golfers, the team, the young team that got a result, are the fruits of serious preparation. Never I had heard that any of these young people and young girls has committed something illegal, something to bypass. So, frankly speaking, honesty means to say things that can make happy the others, but also something that can be unhappy for a number of different reasons. I remember very well when Emmanuel, that as I would say, has shown the face of a real international sport leader. And he achieved. Thanks to him, SIGA has grown months after month, year after year, till becoming a point of reference in the world as the whole. After COVID crisis, after COVID disastrous period of time, we, the SIGA, not only survive, but we remain in a very center of defending these principles, helping those who want to help sport to grow and to bring in this or that state another result, another international championship. Girls, ladies, boys, kids, and no differences of colors, or race, or country of origin. And this is the reason why we become attractive. People understood you can be helped legally with the support, with the real good advice. You can be helped to become a bigger champion, honestly, respecting all the existing rules. This is the reason why I was happy, extremely proud to remain chairman of SIGA. And this is why I've been following all what has happened in these years, including, unfortunately, and this is the dark side, something more than something of illegalities. And illegalities come, grow, and sometimes multiply, not only where, as you know all perfectly, when there is a lot of money to move. Unfortunately, illegality increases because it's a source of money, is a source of getting more money than the last month, last year, and unfortunately, being an Italian, my responsibility number one is to do myself with my team of investigators, of police, of carabinieri, and by myself, with all my colleagues, judges of the Supreme Court, that has appointed me few months ago the first president of the Supreme Court of Italy, in charge of coordinating all the topics of the Supreme Court, but mainly of fighting with no if, not conditions, nothing of that, fighting against organized crime, fighting against all those that use the mafia as a new instrument, creating what has been called in Italy, I don't know how can you translate it, sport mafia. There is environmental mafia. Everything because this is a source becoming fruitful, more fruitful. And now, unfortunately, after having occupied another important role, which is not as the role of judge and the ordinary judge and the president of the court, obviously. I was, for some years, the president of the Italian Sport Supreme Court, the court that, when decides, no judges, including the Supreme Court, can change and destroy completely. So we introduce a change in the rules. But the change will bring me to a decision which is sad for me and probably for some of you. We introduce a new regulation that entitles the Supreme Court, the one that I would say, expect to chair, because you know, to become the president of the Supreme Court, there is a complex procedure. There are the secret votes, with the conflictual environment between categories, unions, groups of judges. It is not granted at all. And in fact, I'm not at all I would say, the oldest president of a chamber of the Supreme Court. I'm just one of the chamber president of the court, and all the colleagues reunited together since my predecessor got retired for age term limit, had to decide a successor. There were no votes. There were no this against the other. 300 of presidential vote against 285 votes. Nothing of that. I was elected unanimously. And this has put on my burden even more responsibility and even more need to reflect on the future. You understand that the results could have been, in one case, okay, I will stay as chief of the sport justice, as the highest level expression, jurisdictional expression in the sport justice, or decide the opposite. Decide to say one has to decide. Either you continue your career. I became state prosecutor when I was 23 years old. 23. I was really a kid. It's the terror on my parents every day while going to the prison to ask a difficult question to a terrorist, or to decide to keep my sport justice role. And frankly speaking, what I've seen in the last months has been, for the first time, one unprecedented situation. I would have managed, and I decided that I couldn't do it. In the sport justice sector, not one, but 32 cases of litigations for who has the right to go ahead in a serious hire, who has to be degraded because of dirty behavior, and our decision would have been the final decision. So my question, dear friends, has been, I cannot, as the president of the Supreme Court, decided that one team is degraded because I have the evidence that I would say misdoings, even worse, getting money, sorry, in black. And after having discovered that that team had performed with black money, then I wear my uniform as the judge, sharing the court, and say, okay, I have to rejudge in the new wearing of the President of the Supreme Court of Italy. Frankly speaking, I don't feel that is possible to do for a judge that has born with the idea of starting and finishing his career by judging correctly. And you know, dear friends, that this is not easy because the transparency, the fight against any kind of corruption, the idea that our duty, the SIGA's duty, would be and will have to continue to be the role of eradicating from inside the risk to play in two different ways. And at the end, I would be one of the two having the power in my hands to say one of the two decisions taken by myself was incorrect, was substantially illegal, because I gave a prize to be promoted to the A series when that team, just to mention the football, had violated some rules that are among the most important. The rules of violating the, I would say, fair play financial rules. You remember very well the UEFA that is not immune from all crimes and illegality, etc. But UEFA had the merit to say that's enough. It's not possible to buy a good player only to declare the double of the money to buy that great player, but to put in black a good part of this money and to do what that team couldn't be able to do because it's not the richest team of football in the world. This is happening in Italy. Unfortunately, this is happening. You will remember months ago in Europe, exactly the same situation. And the president of UEFA said, no way to create a UEFA bis, a UEFA for the rich, a UEFA that could bypass the rules. I, as a judge, cannot even imagine that the law could be in one case over 1 million, not equal for this and for that. At the end of all of this, unfortunately, I'm morally, with the same honesty that has guided me in the past few years to leave SIGA. To leave SIGA as a chairman, I know perfectly there are the rules, that the burden is mainly on the shoulder of my friend Emmanuel, but being a chairman of SIGA represents the supreme values. If I chair the Supreme Court in Italy, I represent the main values of the Italian justice. As a chairman of SIGA, I've been represented values that are even more Important because these are global. The values of honesty and transparency since the principle of the Athens Olympic Games many years ago. I cannot betray. When I decided to serve my country and to serve the rights of those who have rights, not those that in black can pay, I take a commitment. And this commitment is still more alive than ever. This is the reason, dear friend, for what I will never deny my support, a declaration, an interview, never. But I feel now in a moment where I have to make a choice. The choice is continue to serve, because when you become the first president of the Supreme Court of a country, you cannot even run the minimum risk that somebody, by truth or by a false declaration, declare, who knows, this president that live so much, Florence, the city of my family, or the South Tyrol, or the place when I love to go, because I love the mountains, I love this or that, had made something inappropriate. Never. Nobody can take the risk to even make an hypothesis about that. And this is the reason why, with great sadness, I leave not the principle, I leave the organization. And I promise to you to continue every day when it's arrived. It will be important to say the right word, the right phrase, to make everybody to understand that these are our principles. And this principle will never change in my mind and in my heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Grazie, Franco. Thank you very much, Mr. Franco Frattini. Inspiring words, and obviously he's been such a great asset for the organization since it was created. One of the abilities that SIGA has, and one of its assets, is being able to engage different sections of the sports industry. And a very important one is being able to engage with top athletes who play such an important role in inspiring all of us. And now we're going to have a moment dedicated to the SIGA Champions, which is a group of ambassadors who are promoting sporting integrity. This group of champions is about to grow larger today because we are going to induct someone new. She was 6 times European champion, 4 times world vice champion, won a bronze medal at the 2016 Olympic Games as well. Allow me to invite Telma Monteiro, the Portuguese judoka, on stage, and also Emanuel Macedo Medeiros, the global CEO of SIGA, for a very special moment to be inducted as part of the SIGA Champions. Thank you. Olá, Telma. Tudo bem? Olá, Emanuel. If you want to do the honors and also say a few words.
With the utmost pleasure. There are moments in life that define who we are. There are moments in life who made us realize what organizations are made of, the causes we embrace, the values we hold dear, the people who serve them. And by people, I mean those who are in the highest ranks and those who humbly do their job every day. I could not stand here before you without referring to the great lesson, a great lesson of values, a great lesson of integrity, a great lesson of what it is to carry the burden of leadership. The words of the SIGA chairman are truly inspiring, Pedro, as you well said. And it is because of moments like this, because of unique moments in our lives and in the lives of the organizations that we serve, that I am privileged to be the elected global CEO of SIGA. Not just because we have had the good fortune of having leaders of the stature of Franco Frattini, President of the Supreme Court of Justice, a man who's dedicated all his life to the noble cause of serving justice, with a courage that may not be known to many, but I assure you, it is a truly exceptional one. And now, to continue this flow of events, this chain of values that SIGA represents, that we pay tribute to one of the greatest athletes of contemporary Portugal. Thelma, thank you. You follow the footsteps of other amazing athletes. And we have here the Campionissima Rosa Mota, a true example of modesty, of public service, an example of someone who has run so much and so successfully to put integrity where it belongs, right at the podium. And Rosa, what a great champion we have here today in Thelma. A Thelma that never turned his back to a good fight, never feared an obstacle, no matter how high, how heavy, how important was that opponent, that adversary. A Thelma that gives us the certainty, the example, the evidence that, yes, if we commit ourselves, if we work hard, if we do the right thing, we can excel, we can transcend, and we can make the impossible possible. Therefore, it is for us, SIGA, a great honor to have you as our SIGA champion. It is not an honor that we confer every day. It is not an honor that we confer to maybe some of the most shining stars in the sporting industry, but it's an honor that comes straight from the heart, where every factor is measured, where every criteria counts. So, in this context, at the outset of the Sport Integrity Week 2022, we could not expect a better kickstart than to invest you with our trust, with our confidence, with our gratitude, and with our appreciation. And that means having you as a SIGA champion. We ask you to be who you are, to hold those values high, to pass on to them, to the next generations, and to everyone that you continue to inspire. Because what you have done within sport, it was truly exceptional. And without further ado, I would like to confer to you this plaque as a testimony of our appreciation for what you have done for sport, the values you have carried, the flag that you have raised high, and that flag is integrity. Thank you.
Podes falar aí ou com o microfone, como for mais fácil.
É inglês ou português?
Podes fazer em inglês e depois umas palavras em português, digo eu.
First of all, thank you so much. Big honor to be here, and a big honor to be a SIGA champion. I hope that in my daily life, not just as an athlete, but also as a person, most of all, I can spread these values of integrity. I think it's the base of, should be the base of our actions for me as an athlete and as a person. I always try to act with these values and also the values of judo, that is my sport. So for me, it's a big pleasure to be here and to be a SIGA champion and to give my contribution to this event. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Thelma. Congratulations. And you're joining an elite group of athletes who are ambassadors for integrity. I'm a big fan, I have to say, watching you for many years. Parabéns pela carreira e por este prémio também, por esta honra. To help welcome you into the group, we have someone else who's already part of it for a few years. It's a former French international and Manchester United striker, Louis Saha.
Hello and welcome to the Sport Integrity Week. It's an amazing week that's going to be ahead. I can't wait to see you guys on Wednesday. My name is Louis Saha and I'm a former pro athlete. Played football for 15 years at the highest level. Played in clubs like Manchester United, Tottenham, Fulham, Everton. Played in France, but in Italy as well. So I enjoy a pretty good career with a lot of tremendous players and coaches. So now, retired, I am a co-founder and CEO of Axis Stars, the first global support network for pro athletes, where we recognize that the industry needs more integrity, more simple tools for the athletes. So we centralize pretty much everything in one place. Opportunities, information, network, safe and trustworthy. That's why we partnered with SIGA, and I'm a proud SIGA champion. So I would like as well to welcome the newcomers, the new SIGA champions, who's gonna help us a lot with their influence, with their expertise, to push integrity as much as we can, as fast as we can, because it's really important. The value that sport can transport, can vehicle, it's very important for the youth. Really pivotal at the moment. So welcome, and I can't wait to see you guys. I'm a SIGA Europe Advisory Board member. Very proud to be pushing as much as I can the whole effort from Emmanuel and his team. They had tremendous work, a tool, SIGA, and independent rating system. I have to really recommend to all federation, all sport organization, to help them recognize the effort of others, compare themselves, understand the kind of standard that has been asked throughout the industry. No, just like waiting and talking, press release and t-shirt, that is over. Anywhere more, because integrity is so important, is really asked by all the members of this industry. So please enjoy the Sport Integrity Week. Thank you, SIGA. Thank you, Emmanuel and his team. And I can't wait to see you there on Wednesday.
Merci also to Louis for sending in the video. He will be here later this week in person to participate in a panel. And I can tell you, working directly with athletes, I know how important their power really is to motivate people, because if you look at the age of digital communication that we're in, and you look at the most followed person on the planet is a football player, it really gets you a precise idea of the influence that athletes and sports celebrities have to make a change. I'd like to move on to a welcome address that we have a lot to look forward to, someone who Thelma also knows very well. The first guest is an inspiring leader that received the SIGA Special Recognition Award earlier this year. He is president of the Portuguese Olympic Committee, also a founding member of SIGA and a friend of many people here in this room. So I'd like to call on stage the president of the Portuguese Olympic Committee, José Manuel Constantino. Obrigado. Boa tarde.
obrigado. I speak in language of Camões, of speaker in other language. I don't speak English, I speak only a little bit in English, and now I speak in Portuguese. Quando me dirigi a este auditório, a convite do Dr. Emanuel Medeiros, interroguei-me sobre o que seria oportuno dizer nesta circunstância, atendendo à natureza da organização que promove este evento e, sobretudo, ao tema que está subjacente aos trabalhos deste evento. E ocorreu-me uma observação que, ao longo do período em que acompanho as questões de natureza olímpica, me fez sempre alguma confusão. Eu diria mesmo alguma discordância. Refiro-me a uma afirmação de Pierre de Coubertin, quando ele afirmou que o olimpismo é uma religião. E eu atribuí esta afirmação à circunstância do olimpismo ter no âmbito do seu conjunto de atividades um conjunto de cerimónias, de rituais, de liturgias, de símbolos, que se assemelham muito a um registro de natureza religiosa. Há cerca de 2 meses tive a oportunidade de ter acesso a um livro de um filósofo francês, Guillaume Martin, que é, simultaneamente, corredor do pelotão da Volta à França. É atleta ciclista da Cofidis e tem formação na área da filosofia e tem, de resto, vários títulos publicados no domínio da filosofia. E o último título é sobre o ciclismo. E reencontrei na sua reflexão algo que reportava aquilo que Pierre de Coubertin um dia escreveu, de que o desporto, na versão do Guillaume, é uma religião, tal como outros domínios da arte. E porquê? Porque está assente no princípio da transcendência, no princípio da superação, no princípio de procurar saber aquilo de que o corpo é capaz, de correr mais rápido, de saltar mais alto, de lançar mais longe, de derrubar primeiro. E este princípio de transcendência, que na perspectiva dele está inserida na mensagem desportiva, assenta numa lógica a que os ingleses utilizaram através da expressão fair play, que significa tão só jogo limpo, ou seja, uma competição sem batota. E este desígnio e esta inscrição têm percorrido ao longo dos tempos toda a história do movimento desportivo. Um jogo sem batota. Um jogo em que se respeite escrupulosamente aquilo que são as leis e que são as regras do jogo. Com uma circunstância, é que, porventura, a competição desportiva encerra em si mesmo não apenas as regras que são comuns à sociedade em termos gerais, mas tem regras que lhe são próprias. Desde logo, por exemplo, a utilização de substâncias medicamentosas para aumento do rendimento desportivo, em que a atividade desportiva é a única atividade que limita a sua utilização. nenhuma outra atividade social limita a sua utilização, a não ser o desporto, precisamente para poder defender aquilo que na linguagem desportiva se chama a verdade desportiva. Tudo isto para concluir que o desporto tem sobre os seus ombros uma responsabilidade de natureza social cuja garantia é absolutamente necessária para estabelecer a sua credibilidade, para não violar os princípios de natureza moral que a matriz fundadora do desporto lhe atribuiu. Ao longo da história do desporto, a competição entre duas pessoas ou entre dois grupos não foi apenas algo que permitisse avaliar quem tinha mais rendimento desportivo, mas acrescentou-se-lhe valores de natureza social e de natureza cultural que atribuíram uma credibilidade ao desporto, fazendo com que ele seja reconhecido como algo que tem um valor social e cultural para a própria sociedade. E o grande desafio que se coloca ao desporto perante as ameaças que o rodeiam é precisamente o de resgatar e defender essa credibilidade e garantir à sociedade que o bem produzido é um bem socialmente útil. Sabem as pessoas do desporto, e sabem porventura, as não sendo do desporto, acompanham o fenómeno, que muito daquilo que ocorre no mundo das práticas desportivas não lhe é exclusivo. Mas eu diria que o desporto tem aqui uma responsabilidade acrescida, porque a mensagem que construiu para a sociedade e aquilo sobre a qual se elaborou o seu ethos, o seu código, as suas regras, é que era não apenas um espaço de sociabilidade, mas também um espaço de respeitabilidade, em que a vitória era atribuída àquele que era o melhor, àquele que era o superior, àquele que tinha mais capacidade, mas que respeitava as regras, respeitava o fair play, tinha jogo limpo. E, portanto, hoje, perante muitas das ameaças que o rodeiam, não resta outra saída a quem defende o desporto como um valor social e cultural para a sociedade do que defender a sua integridade. Defender a sua integridade é defender a sua importância social e a sua importância cultural. E para quem, como eu, tem a sua formação ligada à gênese do ensino da educação física e do desporto, e, portanto, à valorização da ação educativa e formativa do próprio desporto, este domínio tem uma particular sensibilidade e uma particular atenção. Saúde, por isso, a SIGA. E saúde na SIGA todos aqueles que procuram, através da sua intervenção social, credibilizar a prática do desporto e retirar-lhe e defendê-lo de todas as ameaças que o rodeiam. O desporto não vive fora da sociedade. Não é uma ilha que está fora da sociedade. E, portanto, é perfeitamente natural que seja influenciado e contaminado por tudo aquilo que a rodeia. Mas o desporto tem esta responsabilidade acrescida. Tem esta necessidade de resgatar a sua mensagem educativa e a sua mensagem cultural, transmitindo a todos, e particularmente às crianças e aos jovens, a confiança de que é possível encontrar um mundo melhor e que o desporto pode dar um contributo importante para essa melhoria. Muito obrigado pela vossa atenção.
Está aqui, muito obrigado. Prazer tê-lo aqui conosco. You're only as strong as your teammates. That's something that I've certainly learned playing a variety of team sports my whole life. And what makes SIGA stronger is the unity that it has with its partner and with its teammates as well. And one of them is the United Nations, with whom it has worked very closely. And our next guest here on this stage is going to be representing the United Nations and speaking about how important it is for this organization to promote integrity, to promote inclusion, diversity, equality through sport. I'm going to introduce her in just a moment. First, I'd like you to watch a short video.
Sport has a unique capacity to unite people regardless of identity, background, ethnicity, or ability. Throughout history, it has made important contributions to the well-being of people and communities and to peace. In recognition of this, in the 2030 Agenda on Sustainable Development, the member states of the United Nations emphasize the role of sport as an important enabler of sustainable development, highlighting its growing contribution to the realization of development and peace. At the United Nations, DESA houses the substantive portfolio on sport for development and peace. DESA works to maximize the positive contributions of sport through the UN Action Plan on Sport and the 2030 Agenda.
To add more content to this message, it's my pleasure to welcome on stage Daniela Bass, the Director of the Division for Inclusive Social Development, Department of Economic and Social Affairs at the United Nations. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. I would like, first of all, we have to add the gender in the list. Gender. I'm very thankful for the endeavors of SIGA, and thanks for inviting me to share with you a few words. And I would like also to spend a few words to thank Honorable Frattini. I had the pleasure to work for him when he was one of the 4 vice presidents at the European Commission, and then I followed him when he was elected and nominated minister at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Italy. And my experience of work with him makes me tell you that he's really a man who believes in integrity, really. Having said this, I have the privilege to work at the United Nations, and I lead the division that deals with inclusive social development. In the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, the portfolio of the division is really big. For the department, we are the global focal point on youth, older persons, persons with disabilities, indigenous peoples, the family, because there are all the generations there, as well as cooperatives that are social enterprises. And since the year 2017, the division I lead has also received the mandate to work on the issue of sport for development and for peace. And so when I got in touch with the SIGA a few years ago, I think the very first time it was in Geneva, when UNESCO, which is a specialized agency of the United Nations, was discussing the topic of sport. As you may know, various agencies, specialized agencies of the UN family, deal with sport, health and sport, the World Health Organization, sport and education, UNESCO, sport and children, UNICEF, and so on and so forth. And then the department I'm working with collects and gathers the information from all these different specialized agencies, from governments, the private sector, federations, associations, NGOs, the civil society. And all this information is put together in what summarized in 8,500 words only. After we do research, policy analysis, we prepare the Secretary General report on sport for development and peace to be submitted to member states with our humble recommendations and advice. And then it's up to member states to decide what they want to do with the recommendations. So there are negotiations going on during the General Assembly, and then often we manage to give sound advice to governments and they accept to member states, and they accept our recommendations that become then resolutions and mandates. So this is in a nutshell. What I also wanted to add, so here I have to wear my glasses. What's very relevant for us, whenever we work with the member states, civil society organizations, etc., is to make sure that since the year 2015, the roadmap designed by member states called the 2030 Agenda and its 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, is applied. Why 2030 Agenda? Because these 17 goals, to be sustainable, ideally were meant to be achieved by the year 2030, but with all the challenges and issues the world is facing, I might take a teeny bit longer. So I would say 2030 and beyond. And one of the very interesting things is that in the preamble of the 2030 Agenda, it is not a sustainable development goal, it is not an SDG, it is in the preamble. So it touches all SDGs, all 17 SDGs. It is written, the sport is an enabler of development and peace. Isn't that wonderful? Now, to make this happen, we needed to be united. There are nations that are united in one organization, and it would be very important that whoever works in the field of sport for development and for peace unites around the space given by United Nations. Let's utilize that space. Let's join hands together. Let's work together. Let's utilize the possibility to share good practices, innovative ideas, or just to give each other the strength to implement what already exists in a truthful manner with integrity and trust. The world is suffering so much from lack of trust. Instead of keeping working in a multilateral way, the world starts splitting into parts, bilateral agreements, which are good. But then where is the good of the people and the planet? We have to work together to make sure that multilateralism stays. And sport, the diplomacy of sport, for instance, is an amazing tool. I would like to commend SIGA, for instance, for having created this Council of Youth, of young people, the leaders and the diplomats and the athletes, and just normal people of tomorrow, of today and tomorrow, that can keep carrying on certain values. I'll tell you what happens with indigenous peoples. Most of them, in many tribes, when the elderly have to take a decision, they think how that decision is going to impact the next 7 generations. That's what I call sustainability. That's what I call trust. That's what I call integrity. So we should really take example also from those people who have this ingrained in their DNA as a way of working. Sport integrity can really be defined as the manifestation of the ethics and values which promote confidence in sport, including positive conduct by its members and community. And for the international community, the United Nations, the crucial question is how? How sport integrity can contribute to the SDGs motto of leaving no one behind. And when we say no one behind, we mean not only no person, but no country behind. So we have to ideally address this very cruel and current challenge to implement the SDGs in the area of inequality, for instance. That's what we do in the division I lead. In the area of employment, enhancing quality of life of the above-mentioned social groups, persons with disabilities, indigenous peoples, the family, youth, and so on. You see, the SDGs belong to all of us, besides to sport. When I was 6 years old, I became paraplegic due to a cancer that was removed. They saved my life, but I think I had a mission. So that's SDG 3, Sustainable Development Goal 3, Health. Now, my parents said, if we provide you good education, SDG 4, then in the future, you will be able to be employed, have a good employment, SDG 8. And if you have employment, then probably you're not going to be poor, SDG 1. And I love sport. Oh, by the way, persons with disabilities are athletes who never retire. Never. Never. Now, I like sport. I like archery. I like swimming. Look at my shoulders. But when it comes to swimming and sailing, for instance, here we're talking about SDG 6, oceans. And I could go on, but with my present job, and with your also jobs, we are all engaged in partnering in SDG 17, international cooperation. So there are many others SDG I'm skipping, but if you are going to read them, you will realize that in each of us, we have ingrained the 17 SDGs. So it's nothing obscure and far from us. We are the SDGs, actually. Now, when it comes to some examples of our work, I mentioned research and policy analysis of what's happening globally, in this case in the area of sport for development and peace. We also work a lot with intergovernmental processes. What is this? Well, we all know that there is something called the United Nations General Assembly, where heads of state meet every year, usually in September, second half of September. But you have to feed the General Assembly. So to feed the General Assembly, there are many internal mechanisms, and those are called intergovernmental, among governments, processes. One of these is the Commission for Social Development. Another one, many of you might be familiar with, is the Commission on the Status of Women. Another one is the Commission on Statistics, and so on and so forth. When it comes to the Commission for Social Development, so here I'm going back to utilize the space the UN gives at us all. Next year, for instance, during the Commission for Social Development in February, the policy theme is SDG 8 and SDG 10, that is, how employment can reduce the gap of inequalities, therefore promoting inclusion, integration, integrity, trust, etc. And I would invite you all to think how we could actually work together next year and maybe create something at the margins of the Commission for Social Development and see what is the role of sport. Sport is a big industry in creating jobs. I think of STEAM, not STEM, STEAM. Science, technology, art, engineering, and math. And in all of these fields, I can see the role of sport to create something that is employment, that is reducing inequalities, that is promoting, through sport, integrity. We do hope and we do believe that among the division I lead in SIGA, we do believe we have two different sides of the same coin, and together we can make and we must achieve more regarding the implementation of the SDGs and to realize the 2030 agenda and beyond. And therefore, we are in the process, if I may, Emmanuel, thank you. We are in the process of preparing a framework to finalize a project collaboration agreement. So you can all refer to SIGA and see what it's going to be all about. And therefore, then, through SIGA and others, please, let's utilize the space of the United Nations. Some tangible examples then of what else we do, and that's the third area of work, and then I'm ending my presentation, is capacity development and technical cooperation. Now, when it comes to capacity development, what we do as UN, the UN is a political body. UNDP, the United Nations Development Program, is the operational arm of the United Nations. So they go to the field and they build things. What we built, though, as UN, we build knowledge, and knowledge is power. So we share the knowledge going to developing countries about specific areas of their interest. And presently, we are finalizing the preparation of a toolkit that will have, as one of the modules, sport integrity. So I see there plenty of space for all of us to work together in the different areas of expertise that you have. So I would like just to conclude these remarks by telling you, please come to us. I will be more than happy to explain more on what we do and how we can collaborate together. Presently, for instance, the Italian government has financed a project of capacity development to help include children with autism through sport. So we are training coaches and their families. It's a pilot project. It started, actually my staff is there now in Panama and Cuba and the Dominican Republic. That's where we're implementing the project through, for instance, swimming and jogging. But we do have many other activities related to sport and developing countries. So it would be very interesting for me to know what you do and how we can strengthen our collaboration also in that area. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much, Daniela. Yeah, you can leave through here. Thank you so much. Pleasure to have your participation here, and we can't wait to find out what future projects between the United Nations and SIGA will yield. Now, the next man I will introduce on stage has already been up here once. He's, I would say, the main reason why we're all gathered here today. He's been leading this initiative with a lot of passion, a lot of dedication, and I know how important this event is for him today, especially that it's held in his home nation, if not his home city. Please welcome once again Emanuel Macedo Medeiros, the Global CEO of SIGA.
Muito obrigado, Pedro. Este vai ser momento invulgar. Não porque me vou expressar na minha língua materna, português, com sotaque açoriano, entenda-se, mas porque decidi socorrer-me de uma espécie de cábula para convosco poder partilhar algumas reflexões. A boca traía-me quase para dizer algumas provocações, mas sabem tão bem como eu que há naturezas que não se mudam, há rios cujos cursos não se conseguem desviar. E essa, de facto, é a característica, em alguns casos, telúrica, noutra ponderada, mas sempre comprometida com as causas e com os valores que em cada momento decido abraçar. Toda a minha vida respondi apenas e tão só aos comandos da minha consciência. E devo confessar, aos 53 anos, com muitos ainda mais pela frente, que me sinto bem nesta pele. E por isso, minhas senhoras e meus senhores, aqui estou, também para prestar contas do que foi feito, desde que entendi ou não resisti ao ímpeto de desafiar tantas e tantos aqui nesta sala e tantos que nos seguem pelo social media. Por isso, Excelentíssima Senhora Presidente do Supremo Tribunal Administrativo, Senhor Secretário de Estado da Juventude e do Desporto, Senhor Vereador da Câmara Municipal de Cascais, Senhor Presidente do Turismo de Cascais, Campeoníssima Rosa Mota, Senhor Presidente do Comitê Olímpico de Portugal, minhas senhoras e meus amigos, este é um momento importante. Este é um momento importante por várias razões. Primeiro, porque era impensável há 2 anos estarmos aqui. E esta também é a demonstração de que não podemos perder a esperança, não podemos perder a convicção, não podemos vacilar, mesmo que as adversidades sejam muitas, mesmo que o mais cômodo seja nos resignarmos, mesmo que aqui e além nos possa faltar a força para continuar a perseverar. A nossa presença aqui é um tributo à nossa natureza humana. É uma homenagem ao esforço ciclópico que cada um de nós passou. E é também um penhor do muito e importante que, se verdadeiramente quisermos, se verdadeiramente estivermos nisso apostados, e se para isso trabalharmos, o impossível é nada. Em nome da Sport Integrity Global Alliance, queria, pois, deixar-vos uma palavra sentida e sublinhada de boas-vindas. Uma saudação especial em nome de todos quantos na SIGA trabalham, profiam e continuam um trabalho tenaz, árduo, mas com o reconhecimento e com a recompensa de vermos avançar a mudança. A todos quantos, e são muitos, os que espalhados por este mundo fora, nos emprestam o seu estímulo, o seu reconhecimento, a sua força, para continuarmos a fazer o que temos vindo a fazer. Quero que todos se sintam bem-vindos, quero que todos se sintam em casa. Porque a SIGA é, de facto, esta plataforma comum. É, de facto, este território neutro, onde podem confluir pessoas de todos os estratos sociais, de todos os quadrantes, de todas as sensibilidades, de todos os géneros, de todas as idades. É um espaço aberto, onde não existem portas, nem janelas, nem muros, nem divisões. É um espaço aberto, é um espaço de diálogo, é um espaço de reflexão e debate, mas é, sobretudo, um espaço de ação. Porque a ação é o que nos define. A SIGA nasce não como um think tank, não como uma organização apostada em criar uma linha de pensamento, mas apostada em instigar a ação, apostada em instigar cada um de nós para fazer aquilo que está ao nosso alcance. E foi isso que fizemos desde a primeira hora. Valorizando a unidade na diferença, indiferentes ao tom da pele, ao background social, às opções íntimas de cada um. Porque sim, porque valorizamos esses fatores. E porque é na diversidade que encontramos a nossa força, a nossa raiz identitária, a justeza dos nossos propósitos. E a crença de que o desporto, que queremos limpo, que queremos digno, que queremos merecedor da confiança de todos, possa servir o seu papel. Quero também aproveitar, e já que me estou a socorrer, tal como o Presidente do Comitê Olímpico de Portugal, da língua de Camões, felicitar a importante e extensa delegação brasileira que aqui nos honra com a sua presença. Ainda há um mês e meio atrás, estava eu em São Paulo para assentar a primeira pedra daquela que é a SIGA Latin America, com o apoio de uma comunidade liderante, na qual pontificam as maiores 40 empresas do Brasil e muitos atletas, com um enorme e honroso palmarés, mas apostados em fazer a diferença em prol da integridade no desporto. A todos quantos nos seguem nos Estados Unidos, no Brasil, na Argentina, no Equador, no Médio Oriente, no Dubai, no Catar, na Arábia Saudita, por todo este mundo, a todos os que nos seguem, quero dizer que podem contar connosco da mesma forma que contamos com todos. To all SIGA members goes also a heartfelt word of appreciation. To all committed supporters, to all champions, to all those who carry SIGA's colors, to the women and girls who every day joins the ranks of SIGA Women, and how inspirational and brilliant was the intervention we just heard from Daniela Bass. To all those who stand with SIGA and support our vision of sport, a sport free from illegality, free from abuse, a sport governed and operated under the highest governance and integrity standards, a sport that is able to look itself in the mirror with pride, with honor, knowing that things are done in a proper way, a sport able, therefore, to deliver its social, educational, culture, and economic role. I want to say to all of you what requires no explanation. This moment is yours. This Sport Integrity Week is yours. And that is why I want to ask you to seize it, to make it worth, to make it count. Because together, we have come a long way. Together, we have transformed vision into ambition and ambition into achievement. It is because of you, ladies and gentlemen. It is because of you that we are here. It is because of you, especially those who care to believe that they can, that we are here. And we will do what we have been doing since 2014. You are the lifeblood of SIGA. With you by our side, we will continue to lead the way forward worldwide. Lead by example. And just look to what we have accomplished together over the past 12 months, or even this year. We have grown exponentially, both in terms of institutional recognition, sound influence, and impact. We have convinced the G20, to elect sport integrity as one of its 3 top priorities. And we have done this, working shoulder by shoulder with its members and under the Italian presidency. Was this possible to even imagine that we could persuade an organization of the 20th wealthiest, most powerful nation in the world that one day they would put sport integrity at the top of the agenda, and they would move things forward to facilitate our lives? That speaks volumes about the true nature of SIGA. We have also grown in membership tremendously, with 50 new members from all the world. We have further expanded our SIGA Global Media Partners Network, nearly now with 50 media organizations who are not just committed to inform, they are committed to use their power also to form, to promote values, to promote change. What an honor. We have started and expanded the SIGA University Network, the center of knowledge and expertise and thought leadership. And we are here in a house that speaks volumes about those values. And I want to congratulate Nova for being ranked within the top 15 in the world. What an honor, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations for that. But we have done this and we have done much more. We have created the new edition of the SIGA Global Mentorship Program for female leaders in sport. Because leadership and excellence has nothing to do with gender. And because we are committed to facilitate and to encourage all women and girls who legitimately have the right to pierce the gender glass ceiling. We have also, in this pursuit, amended our own constitution, the most important piece of regulation that governs our existence, so that within the Council, within the supreme body of SIGA, men and women could have parity. And I'm very proud of having championed that change, and very proud of also of what the SIGA General Assembly has decided in this regard. We have reappointed the new SIGA Youth Council, a fantastic group of young people from all genders, from all walks of life, from all countries, bright, intelligent, committed to action, committed to bring change within their lifetime. They are the future of SIGA. We have done a lot, but there is much more to be done. And as you know, we only promise what we can deliver, and we always deliver what we promise. So for those who think that SIGA is a great idea, I would say it is not. SIGA is a great idea whose time has come. But it's up to us to give it life. It is up to us to move it forward. And there has never been a better occasion and a more urgent time to make a difference. To have an organization like ours, independent, neutral, multi-stakeholder, reform-driven, and action-oriented. The world needs no introduction, is in shambles, is in crisis. And we must not turn a blind eye. We must not pretend it is not our job. It is not our watch. We are facing the biggest global crisis in generations. The COVID pandemic has had severe and far-reaching repercussions for health systems, economies, and societies. Countless people have died or lost their livelihoods. Families and communities have been strained and separated. Businesses have gone bankrupt. Millions of people have fallen and unfortunately continue to fall below the poverty line. Our planet, ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, is in dire straits. And we are running out of time. And if it was not enough, we are confronted with war in Europe. A war that we, the people, did not expect. A war that we, the people, did not ask for. A war that we, the people, did not deserve. So if there is a moment for global leadership and for putting people first, this is a moment. So where do we go from here? Where do we start? What role can sport play? A very decisive role, I would say. Because sport has the power. And if sport has the power, it must be able to fulfill its mission to the full. But in order to do that, in order to be this catalyst of change, this dynamo of social, cultural, economic development, sport must lead by example. And to lead by example means that sport must assume accountability for its own affairs. It must enhance the way it governs themselves and operates. And that places a huge responsibility on those who are at the highest ranks. It places also a responsibility on governments, as governments are the expression of not just the public opinion, but the public interest. And that makes the whole difference. And because I believe that, yes, we can, if we really want it, we need to turn a new page. We need change, and we need now. We need a complete new paradigm shift, one that places integrity at the podium, at the top of our agenda. To do the right thing, not because we have a policeman on every corner or a policewoman, but because it is the right thing. This is our moral imperative. This is our moral duty. And that is why SIGA is here. And that is why, looking to this grand auditorium and knowing how many people, thousands of people that are following us, I know that we, those who love sport, want to work, want to play, and want to have a role in a sport that deserves the dignity and the trust of its citizens. That is why we have picked sides. That is why neutrality is not an option for us. That is why we are committed to advance a reform agenda that we fundamentally believe. With SIGA Global, with SIGA Europe, with SIGA Latin America, with SIGA America, with SIGA Africa, with SIGA Oceania, who will arrive one day. And because we are SIGA, and SIGA in Portuguese means go ahead, straightforward, we will deliver what we promise. This is what we have been doing. This is what we have to continue doing as a true united front, pressing for change and for the benefit of us all. Those who play sport, those who work in sport, and those who simply love it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your support. We count on you.
Obrigado, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for sharing more insight into the vision that SIGA has and in what the mission is, really, because I know you're a man of action, and I know that throughout the year, day in and day out, you're working diligently to try to promote integrity and transparency as much as possible into the world of sport. Now, as important as sport is, it cannot act alone, and it is crucial to have the support of political institutions. That's why today we're delighted to have here someone who is representing the Portuguese government, and that is the Secretary of State of Youth and Sport, João Paulo Correia. If I can please ask you to come on stage. Boa tarde. Prazer.
Muito boa tarde. Em primeiro lugar, agradecer o convite formulado pela SIGA ao Governo, que está aqui representado pelo Estado de Estado do Desporto, da Juventude e do Desporto, e aproveito desde o primeiro minuto para saudar o trabalho feito pela SIGA à escala internacional na promoção e na defesa da integridade no desporto. Optei por fazer esta minha intervenção partilhando convosco aquilo que tem sido os avanços que o Governo tem dado nesta área da defesa da integridade no desporto. Falar-vos de 3 iniciativas que estão em curso e que no dia em que virem a luz do dia serão significativos avanços no desporto português, naquilo que diz respeito ao tema que nos une, que é a verdade desportiva e a integridade no desporto. Primeiro, dizer-vos que estamos a preparar, a ultimar, a revisão do regime jurídico das sociedades esportivas, que trará muitas novidades. Será uma reforma que trará para o ordenamento jurídico das sociedades esportivas, para o seu funcionamento e para a sua gestão, aquilo que são princípios que não podem continuar de fora da gestão das organizações desportivas. Em primeiro lugar, mais transparência. Os deveres de transparência das organizações, mas neste caso concreto das sociedades esportivas, é um dever essencial que deve estar presente na gestão das sociedades, na forma como comunicam com o seu público, com o público em geral, com os seus associados, mas acima de tudo um dever de transparência sobre a composição societária, acionista, os últimos beneficiários, as diferentes participações sociais que os associados têm. E se tiverem participações qualificadas em mais que uma sociedade, há um conjunto de deveres de transparência que queremos que fiquem assegurados nesta revisão do regime jurídico das sociedades esportivas. Depois, porque é importante que cada investidor que chega ao desporto diga o que vem, qual é o seu projeto de investimento, tem que ser obrigado a apresentar um projeto de investimento e também dizer qual é a procedência do capital que está a utilizar, a mobilizar para capitalizar uma sociedade esportiva, seja uma sociedade anónima, seja uma sociedade por cotas. Mas, para além disto, queremos também que seja instituído um regime de idoneidade que seja imposto a detentores de participação social, interessados nas participações sociais, como também a administradores e gerentes das sociedades esportivas. Um regime de idoneidade que são requisitos mínimos mas que, no nosso entender, são essenciais para deixar de fora aqueles que não trazem coisas boas para o desporto e que não estão interessados em defender e promover a verdade desportiva e que também não estão interessados em deixar de fora do desporto aquilo que são fenómenos de criminalidade económica ou financeira e fiscal. Mas também queremos instituir um regime de incompatibilidades para evitar ao máximo aquilo que chamamos todos de conflitos de interesses, para que as decisões dos resultados e as decisões das competições seja menos influenciada ou nada influenciada por um conjunto de interesses que hoje sabemos que vivem numa nuvem muito cinzenta, mas que importa clarificar, instituindo este regime de incompatibilidades. No domínio daquilo que é o combate à manipulação das competições esportivas, dizer-vos que já se encontra em circuito legislativo a proposta para a constituição da plataforma de combate à manipulação das competições desportivas. Este é um passo que é ambicionado desde 2015, quando o Parlamento português ratificou a Convenção de Macolin, a Convenção do Conselho da Europa. Este é um passo que vai permitir criar uma unidade técnica autónoma, que funcionará de forma autónoma daquilo que é a influência das organizações do desporto e outro tipo de organizações, que façam um combate efetivo àquilo que são as ameaças à verdade desportiva e àquelas ameaças que tentam manipular as competições e os resultados desportivos, como o poder das apostas e de apostadores nos resultados e nas competições desportivas. Será, de facto, uma grande conquista para a integridade no desporto quando esta plataforma, no dia em que esta plataforma vir à luz do dia. E uma terceira iniciativa que também para nós é essencial, e é aumentar a representação feminina no desporto, promover a igualdade de género no desporto, e nesse sentido o Governo, entre as pastas do desporto e da igualdade, constituíram um grupo de trabalho formal, que é coordenado por alguém muito bem preparado na área do desporto, com a presença das entidades mais representativas da área do desporto, que tem um objetivo claro, em primeiro lugar, de diagnosticar aquilo que é a representação feminina no desporto e a igualdade de género no desporto em Portugal, e, em segundo lugar, apresentar uma estratégia para a igualdade de género no desporto até 2030, para que em 2030 Portugal consiga chegar à média europeia naquilo que é a liderança feminina no desporto em Portugal. Encontramos na cauda da Europa, praticamente, em todas as métricas que queiram trazer para o debate da igualdade de género no desporto. Precisamos de crescer muito em termos de presidências de organizações esportivas, em percentagem, em número de treinadores, número de árbitros, e também precisamos crescer ainda mais em termos de atletas em muitas modalidades. Mas queremos muito aumentar a presença feminina nos lugares de poder no desporto, porque só aí é que será dado um avanço significativo, porque trata-se de respeitar a representação social que as mulheres têm na sociedade e o peso que queremos que também tenham no desporto português. Era esta a minha intervenção, que queria partilhar convosco, 3 iniciativas que estão em curso, que queremos que nos próximos meses vejam a luz do dia e que serão contributos significativos, avanços inéditos naquilo que é a promoção e a defesa da integridade desportiva no desporto nacional. Obrigado.
Muito obrigado. Thank you very much. Great to hear about the concrete measures that are being put in place to promote integrity and fight against any kind of match fixing or any dark forces that could affect sport, which is such a beautiful and natural thing. We're going to close this opening session now. It's been an absolute pleasure being here with you over the last few hours. There's much more to come in the next days. We'll have experts sharing their insight, their expertise in their various areas that hopefully will contribute to a world of sport that is more transparent and that is reigned by good governance, which is obviously all that we are hoping for. I'd like to close by thanking the Câmara Municipal de Cascais for hosting us here at the Universidade Nova, also to partners BSI and Jogos de Santa Casa, also MasterCard and all the other supporters that SIGA has. I'd like to invite you now to a VIP reception that will take place in the Pedro Santa Clara Lounge. It's been an absolute pleasure. See you soon. All the best. Have a good evening.